What sweep you off your feet moment swept you into a van? I was 5 years old when my biological parents stole me from the only real family I'd ever known. They showed up at my preschool during recess telling the teacher they were taking me home early for a doctor's appointment, and Mrs. Peterson believed them because they had enough documentation to seem legitimate. I spent 2 days in a motel room I'd never seen before, crying for my real parents while my birth mother kept saying we were going somewhere better, somewhere far away where no one would find us. The police found me because my birth father used his credit card at a gas station, and I'll never forget how my adoptive mom held me when they brought me back, shaking and sobbing and whispering over and over that I was safe, that I was home. But the fear settled into my bones like concrete, and for the next 20 years, I never went anywhere alone. At 5'1" and barely 100 pounds, I still felt like that terrified kindergartner who'd learned that being stolen wasn't just something that happened in movies. Mike became my safe place before I even realized I was looking for one. After that first coffee where I told him everything, he started showing up in small ways, walking me to my car and texting home safe without making it feel like pity. He never treated my fear as something to conquer or fix, just something that was part of me, like my brown eyes or the way I hummed when I was nervous. 2 years passed like breathing, and when he asked me to move to the city with him, I hesitated. It's so big, so many strangers, I said. He took both my hands and looked me in the eyes. I'll keep you safe there, just like I do here. My yes came from somewhere deeper than logic. In his presence, I shined in ways that still surprise me. I found a therapist, started painting again, took the subway alone while he was at work. Each small victory felt enormous because he celebrated them without making them about him. The woman who couldn't walk to her mailbox became someone who explored the city on Saturday mornings, all thanks to Mike. A year later, when Mike kissed me goodbye at dawn for his camping weekend with hometown friends, I actually smiled and started on my morning run. That's when I noticed the SUV that kept appearing on different streets, and my body remembered fear before my mind did. That same dread from when I'd see strange cars parked outside our house as a kid. I texted my sister my location just in case, and then the SUV pulled up right beside me. Everything happened so fast. Masked men jumping out, grabbing me, and suddenly I was that 5-year-old again, helpless and small. They dragged me into the vehicle while I screamed and fought, one holding my arms behind me while another pinned my legs, and they were laughing while I begged them to stop. Time distorted into this endless nightmare of deep voices taunting me, being thrown around in the back of a moving vehicle, until finally they pulled me out and shoved me to my knees in a house. When they ripped the hood off my head, Mike was standing there in nice clothes with candles everywhere, and his face went from excited to horrified in an instant. "What the hell did you do?" he screamed at his friends, shoving the one closest to him. "This wasn't the plan. You were supposed to make it fun." I couldn't process his words, couldn't think beyond the fact that he'd orchestrated my worst nightmare. My sister picked me up from Mike's house and held me all night while I shook. By morning, the shock was wearing off, and 3 days later, I was actually defending him. "He didn't know his friends would take it that far," I said. "Maybe he deserves a chance to explain." My sister was careful, said it was my choice, that she'd support whatever I decided. We went back and forth for an hour until my phone buzzed with a drunk text from Mike. "You're not 5 anymore. Stop acting like you're still that scared little girl." My sister didn't say anything, just held me tighter as everything I'd ever felt for him died. My sister took over the promise Mike had broken. She moved me into her apartment and became my protector, sitting outside the bathroom while I showered, driving me to therapy twice a week, and sleeping on my floor when nightmares came. She never mentioned losing her promotion or sacrificing her privacy, just kept promising I was safe now. 3 months later, when I finally managed the grocery store alone, Mike somehow heard and texted, "I knew you could do it, proud of you." He told mutual friends he was giving me space to heal, as if my recovery was his plan. He had no idea my sister had to physically hold me down during panic attacks, or that she'd spent her savings on my therapy. To him, I was getting better because of the love we'd shared. To me, I was surviving despite what he'd done. I found out years later through mutual friends that Mike was engaged to someone who thought his kidnapping proposal story was hilarious and romantic, which told me everything about them. But the night before their wedding, she staged a cheating prank with her best friend, and Mike lost it, shoving her hard enough that she hit her head on the nightstand and needed 12 stitches. The whole thing was filmed for their wedding video, so he couldn't lie his way out of it when she pressed charges. He served 6 months and lost everything. And from jail, he wrote me a letter saying he finally understood what it felt like to be powerless and terrified when someone you trust destroys your reality for entertainment. I read it once and threw it away because I'd already learned that lesson, and I'd learned it from him.